Good morning everyone. Now unfortunately I don't have the grandpa's head to show you this morning because last night I was going to start and put some of the hair on and then come back this morning and show you how I was doing that, and I did manage to get several bits on, but unfortunately the glue gun the hot glue that I was using burnt a hole in the stocking. Now that's what you've got to be careful when you're using stockings for the, if you snag it, which I did, but that was fine, I covered it with the eye, but you can, you get a run in the stocking, so that was really unfortunate. So today it just burst open, so I've took all the filler out and have to start again. But I was only showing you how to sculpt a face. So today what I'm going to do is, before we move on to the clothes for the doll, I think we'll learn, I'm going to put that away and that'll do for another doll at some point. And I think what we're going to do today is the hands and the feet. Now there's different ways of doing them. Now I've got these socks here. So I'm just going to use that pair to make some hands. I buy them like that because it's cheaper, and I think I only paid about £3 for all of those, and you know that two make a doll, so two single socks make a doll. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to get the needles ready because I should have had them done up front. I'm going to save that bit of thread and oops, wrong one. Just get some of the needles ready so I don't have to keep swapping and changing. And I'm going to share with you how to do 2 or 3 different ways of a hand and the feet, because there's lots of ways you can do them. And it's nice to know, depending on the doll you've chosen to make, which hand, style of hand and which foot you want to do. Some are easy, some are not. But hey, I'm just going to put my needles up there out of the way and put my thread there and thread these. Just so we've got enough and I don't have to keep messing about. Now as I say, you can in some instances you can use your sewing machine, which I have, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to do these by hand today because I can't be bothered getting the sewing machine out, to be honest. Let me just fasten that up. So if you're doing hands, what I'm going to do here is cut along there. I mean, it's up to you totally which way you do it. Now we can do that, and we can do the main way that most people do it, and we can turn that around. Always turn your work inside out if you can. Oops. And we can shape this as we go along. And like I say, I will show you one with and without fingers. Now, when you're hand stitching, try and do small stitches. I generally, I either do a back stitch, as I've shown you before, or what I'll generally do is double. So I'll stitch it along once and then come back again, just to make sure. Little bit longer to do, but hey, doesn't matter, does it? Bit of time. Now I don't want that, so I'm going to now veer my needle off that direction, because this is just a hand, very plain and simple hand. So while that's like that, I can now chop that off. And if I was making it into a puppet myself, I mean, I'm not using these on anything, I'm just showing you. That's all. Although I will put them in a bag and they'll probably come in useful at some point on another project. So this is just a basic hand. Now, obviously, you'd have an arm attached to it, wouldn't you? Because you wouldn't just cut that. Well, you might want to cut the hand if you're making an animal. You might just want that as a hand. But like I say, if you're using it for a doll, then you need to cut your section with the arm bit as well. But we're only doing hands and feet at the moment. So then what I would do is tie that off. And that's separated from what I'm going to do next. Then you take a little bit of wadding. Oops, I think I dropped a bit there. Turn that the right way. So imagine this if you've got your extended arm on as well. You just fill the arm completely and you've got a little hand. If you're using this for another type of doll, like an animal of some sort, then and you need just the hand, then you do it like this. Just go around the edge. Don't go right to the edge because you'll end up losing it. You know, your stitching will come undone. Do small stitches. See, I nearly lost that. And not too close to the edge. Sorry, I have a spot that my ring turns around. I think I've started to finally lose some weight. Thanks for the nice comments, everybody, and it's glad to, you know, I'm really happy we've spotted some new people about. So welcome to the newbies if you've not been before. But it's nice to see people watching older videos like the miniatures and things like that, because they've made comment on it and I've tried to answer as many as possible. So, like we say, we've got a hand there. So you can have that type of hand. So what I'm going to do now is stitch this one again and show you a different one where we can put some fingers in. I do a couple of tacking stitches. I'm going to cut this one first. Like that, so I've rounded it slightly. Now, a lady mentioned, sorry I can't remember your name, but you mentioned about doing like a modern day doll, like a Barbie doll or something like that. Yeah, it is intricate when you're doing very, very tiny limbs. You know, you're doing long, thin limbs like a Barbie doll. I would hand stitch everything first. If you can do it on your sewing machine and your sewing machine's okay for doing things like that, you know, stitching tiny little lines, not very wide for legs and arms, then that's fine, you can do that. I generally do a lot of mine by hand stitching. I just prefer it because I can do it as I go along. With the machine you can't really correct any mistakes till, you know, later, unless you want to be messing about. But when you're hand stitching, you can do it as you go along. So I could take my needle off and unpick that, you know what I mean? Whereas with a machine you've got to mess about with them. But it's up to the individual. If your fabric that you're using is fine for going under the needle of a machine, then great, you know, fantastic. And you can sew your limbs tiny, thin, even better. I generally try and do all of mine by hand stitching. just going to tie that once more. So there's lots of ways of doing hands. I'm just going to show you the basics, folks. Now I'm just going to use this little bit of thread that I had spare. So I never throw it away, even when I cut it off. I always keep bits because you never know when you need that little bit. So we're going to turn this the right way. I'm going to put a little bit of wadding in it. Again, like we did before. That's just like a mitten, a plain mitten hand sort of thing. So don't forget, this is if you're doing it for an animal or you're doing it for a doll that you want to attach the hands separate. But generally you will have an extra piece on, you know, for the arm. So you'll just go down one side, round the end and back up. And then you can always put a little bit of a stitch in where the wrist would be. There's lots of ways of doing them. So again, I'm just pull that a little bit. Make that a little bit smaller. That's it. Pull that tight. Double knot that. Now the best thing about these, if you're doing it like this, separate, is that this section, when you're doing the arm, if you're attaching the hand to the arm, you can leave the section of the where the wrist bit will go on the doll's arm, and you tuck that in like that, and then that just sits in, and then you can give it a quick stitch round. So you can do it that way. Now we're just going to put a little bit of shape to this one. So we've got the two hands like that, but then you might want to put, you know, like a finger, make it look like these fingers. So go in from the wrist. I could mark it out. Let's just mark it out for you, just so. So we're going to have a finger there, a finger there, and a finger there, and that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're only going to do it with 4. You don't have to have 5. You can have as many as you want. You know, up to 5. So keep that loose here. And then what you do is pinch this together, wrap that over, and try and go in to the same spot. Just pull that and do it twice. Like that. When you go back in, you're going to come up where that little spot is that you've just put on. Hopefully I've got enough to show you this. Again, back over, bring that up to pull that in. See, it's making that little finger. Like that. Then I go over again and then bring that up. Go back in where you were and then bring that up in that section. I might have enough to finish this off. Try and get that right, in the right place. Oops, see, it's come off. But, do you see what I mean? So you've got a normal hand, and then you've got, like if you're doing an animal, you can do your fingers like that. So I'm going to have to try and finish that now. See if I can get it to go. Probably not. Although, see if I can do it. And push that back through. Yes, just. And there you go. And then we can just tie that off. And again, if I wanted to add this to an arm, slot it in the way I've just shown you. So you leave the arm itself open at the end for where the wrist goes. So with that, if you just want a normal hand, you know, a little pad for a doll, you can have a hand like that for an animal, or I mean, I could put another one in there. Let me just do that, because that looks a bit odd to me. Oops, a daisy. Just dropped my thread. Oh, come here. Right, wind that back up for you. You don't want that much. I'm just going to make it look like a 5-fingered hand. So I'm going to put in a hand, a finger there. Okay, I'm just going to do one there. I don't want it to look like it's too far away from the others. That's it. So if I'd have had enough thread, I would have done the 5. That's it. So you've got your little hand. That's without sculpting a hand, a thumb. I'm just showing you the different types if anybody's just joining us. I'm going to start and do some live videos as well shortly, but I do need my sister to read comments and that, so next time, excuse me, next time she's in, you know, we'll sort that out. So, anyway, they're the two there. Just leave that a bit. Oh, here we are. Okay. So now we're going to do one where we actually add a thumb and do 4 fingers. So I'm going to move those to one side. I'm going to take this section . I'm going to cut that. Again, you can do this if you've actually got your pattern. Let me just show you. If you've got your pattern, let's just cut it so you can see. So I'm just going to do this freehand. So this is your arm, and then you can come out and do the thumb. And then you do the hand. Now I'm going to bring that in a bit. See, like that. That's what I mean about putting the thumb in. So if that was the arm of your doll, you'd have that section. So that's the this is what we're going to do with this. So I'm going to fold it inside out, and I'm just going to draw a small hand. So this is where the wrist is. That's the thumb. And the hand there. I might bring that in a little bit, but it would depend what size doll I'm doing, don't forget. Everything you have to put to scale. So before I cut it, I'm going to stitch it like that. Again, I don't knot it at the end because I want to tie it. So you go down the arm and continue round until you've got the arm and hand together, or you can do them individually like this. If you want to attach them separately. So it's completely up to you, and it all depends on what doll you're making. So we just make sure these two pieces are together here. And keep going round. like that. Remember, I'm going to stitch in a little bit more to add a longer thumb, to be honest. And then go straight out. I'm going to bring that one out a little bit more. So I want a bit of shape to mine. And I'm going to make that hand a little bit longer. Now, I don't want it square there, so I'm going to pull back and start to round it off. So I'll show you that when it's flat. See? I've rounded that off to make a nice round hand. And like I say, I always try and double stitch mine. Because you don't want the wadding to come through or anything like that. And I try and do the stitches in between, the ones I've already done. Like that. Yeah, I was trying to explain in a comment that was made yesterday. A couple of people mentioned about I sped up the video. Just before I speeded up the video clip, I showed you what I was doing. So I only speeded that section up afterwards because it was identical to what I was doing before. And then somebody came along and explained how you can actually slow a video down yourself. So that was good because I didn't know that. So you do learn something new every day. So thank you to the lady that did that. But yes, I just speeded it up because I'd already just shown how to do something. And I didn't want to go through that process again. Alright, so now we've got that, just going to cut it. We'll tie that. Like that. Cut those two threads. Then we cut this out. Don't go too close to your stitching. Because you can end up cutting it, and I go around there first, and then tuck this in that, so you can turn it over and make it a little bit easier for you, and then try and go in a little bit, that's all, just like that. So what I'm going to do is cut that down, that's too much to turn. It's the same if you're making gloves. Do the same thing. Then you can use, I don't know, use a tool of some sort. Push the thumb section out. See, if I was making gloves, I've got a perfectly good pair of gloves. And these can be done on any scale. So I could have done that half that size if I wanted to. So now what we're going to do, but we're going to make this a hand. So we're going to fill this up. Now, try and get that in the thumb section as well. You just do little bits at a time. You don't need to put loads in. Of course, when you're putting the wadding in, it does expand the hand. So you've got to think of that as well. Now, I'm just going to make sure that there's plenty of padding in that thumb. Okay, there we go. Just remove those bits. And then we go back to sewing it. Same thing. So if that was done with the arm bit, see, like that, you would have an extended piece on. Or you can do the two pieces together. You know, it's do them separate and then put them together. It's completely up to you what you do. And what's easier for you. I mean, sometimes when you join the hand to the wrist, you're getting a little bit of flexibility in the doll. You know, so it's how you you want your doll to be. So I'm just going to pull that down a little bit, so I don't want that too long. I'm only going to cut it off, so that's a bit silly, isn't it? It is easier for you if you cut it and work. So again, like we say, you've got the bit with the thumb. Now I could have made that thumb longer, or it doesn't matter. It's however you want it to be. It's your doll. You decide. Different dolls look. If you do them in different ways, will obviously look different. Now again, I'm going in through the top. Let me just mark my fingers. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. Because we've got the thumb. So you go in through the top again. Oops. There's going to be the first finger. Leave that one. That's it. Don't want it any longer than that. Wrap that over. Go through the back. Come up to the same spot. I always double mine because it looks nicer. I need to go through the same spot though. Yeah. So we've got that. It's actually going over 3 times, isn't it? But it doesn't matter. Now I'm just going to do it a little bit longer, like that. And then we come up again through this one. Now you can make some of these even seem longer. Now I don't want that one just there, so I'm just going to undo that a little bit. Pull it over and then push it down. It's not made much difference, but a little bit. Whoops, see, you have to be careful that they land in the same spot. Move that over. And I'm nearly to the end, so what I'm going to do is just go back up to the top. Like that. And there, again, is a little hand. See? And then once again, like I said, if this just said this is the top, your sleeve, if that was sewn together like that and tucked in, see, that would fit and look great. Like that. Now, oh, look, I've just noticed there was a little bit left there. Went over. That's what happened. I went over it, didn't I? Well, as I'm only showing you, I'm just going to cut that bit. It'll be safe. That's what you've got to be careful of. That's why you go back in and out the same way. So, there's another hand. So, we've got that one on its own, plain. That one as is. This one put in the thumb in, the actual thumb in. And now I'm going to show you another one using the arm. Now, I'm going to leave that section in there. I'm cutting that and going around that. See, like that. But I'm going to put a little thumb section in separately. I'm going to make another thumb. And I think I'll do it that way. we're going to do a separate thumb. So all I need to do is to cut that, take my small needle, oh yeah, I've turned it inside out. Right, let me turn that over. And I'm going round, so I'm not going up to the corner. That will be trimmed off. Now, I haven't seen anybody do this. This is sometimes what I do, depending, like I say, on the doll that I'm making.
Joey.
And I'm just going to do a couple of stitches on the end there. Okay. This thumb is probably too wide for this particular hand, but we'll see. We'll see what it's like when I've done it. Now, you turn the sock. Just move those out of the way. You turn the sock inside out. Now I'm going to round that off slightly. Like that. And then what I'm going to do is, if it'll work. Oops. I need to do this, I think. Just poke it on the end and turn it the right way. Oops, don't undo it. See, like that. I don't know why I've got a bobble there. But look, I could have a small hand. That could be for a small doll. I don't know why I've got that. I can stitch that back in anyway, stitch it out the way. Not a problem. Lots of things can be fixed. Now, the thing is, where do I want mine? So, of course it's going to have to come here. So, what we're going to do is start from the outside. Let me see. I'm just going to tie this one just in case it pulls out. Oops-a-daisy. With this, you can also use pipe cleaners. Let me just show you to fill something out if you're using a small space. Yeah, here we are. I think I've got a white one. So you take your pipe cleaner. It has to be that long. So it's going to be that. You fold it in half. And you twist, and then you can pop that in there as a filler. So you might want to do one or two, you know, pipe cleaners. I might do that twice. And just a little tip for you, so use these because they're waddy, like a padded, and then you've got a flexible thumb as well. Okay, so we're going to put that in there. I I think it's right. So I'm just going to quickly sew this for you. Oops. It needs to be there. And you sew in between there. Now don't forget we're going to come back round as well. Right, I'm just going to take that off because I know I don't have enough thread to go around. But I'm not going to waste that little bit. So again, I'm just going to do that. Now, we're going to go back through here. I'm just going to do it singular stitching at the moment because I want to get in between the stitches I've already done. And it's quite thick in this section. And the reason sometimes I do the thumbs separate is because they can be tricky when you're sewing them and then turning them the other way around. You know what I mean? When you turn them inside out, it's you sometimes don't get the thumb you want. Doll making is therapeutic, time consuming, but fun. Keep stretching that back out. You don't want it too much because you want your stitches to be tight. Right, here we are. Now I can always stitch this again if needs be. Right, I can stitch over that. I can go through it and do that. You know, so now once that's stitched in, you need to just trim that. Okay, so now I need to go back through again. Sorry about that, it was postman. So, I'll just continue this. Going around the edge. Like that. Oops. And then hopefully I've got this the right way round. You got a long finger. But do you see what I mean? When we fill it, it'll look more in proportion. Now, what I was saying about my tube things yesterday. See, you pop them in, so much easier, and we do sell these. And then you just poke them down there. And you can use your sticks or something to poke that in. Like that. And it's, oh, that's the wrong one. I have a wooden one somewhere. I don't know what I did with it yesterday. We find another one. That's no good. Where did I put my stick? Here we go. I can see it. Went under the shelf by mistake. So we just poke that in like that. Now, you take that out and manipulate this wherever you need it to be. See? Do you see what I mean, though? So I could have made that... Instead of making a tube, I should have tapered it out slightly on one side to, you know, to fit in like that properly. I never thought about it, to be honest. I was just trying to get things done. But let's continue. We're not giving up yet. You know. Now, I'm just going to put that back in. And just poke that. Pull that out as you're going in. As you're going down the arm. Let me see. Now, I'm not going to sew this up because I'm going to take that out. I don't need that arm at all. It's just to show you, you know, what you can do. So I can leave that. I think you get what I mean. I should have made this broader so that it pulled out more. But I can stitch that. In fact, I'll do that now while I'm here. So I can go in through here. Like that. I can make it... Oops. Nearly had that wrong. And I can pick up the seam. So you can always correct something. See what I mean? Like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out my fingers. Like that. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Oops. Come on, needle. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is to go through that one. So I'm making longer fingers this time. Come up where you started. Go back in. Go to the next one. I'm going to do it slightly above that actually. Go back in. Back round. Back over to this hand, to the thumb section. And if I want to do any more, just pull it out. I might just want to put another couple of stitches in there, just to bring the thumb in a little bit. And then you only have to pick up a couple of stitches on both sides. And then what I can do, that's a little bit better, isn't it? Bring that through there, cut, and do the same for this one. Oh, fibre in my mouth then. I always wet mine at the end. Because I can't bloody see my needle, that's why. Again, straight through the hand, bring it up there, and then you just cut that off. It's not going anywhere, it's not doing anything. And you just do that and it's back out. So, if you want to then, I'm just going to do it with this one, I think. Get another bit of thread. Put a little detail in your arm. So, we all know that you have like a dimple here. So, I'm going to go in through the top. My elbow's going to be there. Okay. Bring it enough there. And then you just go back in with one stitch. This is just to sculpt the elbow section. Go back in. You might not want to do that with your doll. Like that. And then you see I can shape her. Shape it, well, it don't mean to be, doesn't mean to say that it's going to be a female, does it? It just puts a little bit of a shape to the hand. And the other thing is, I'm going to say that was a bit, they could have been longer, you know, but hey ho. And then you might want to do something with the wrist. So what I'm going to do is to bring that back up. It's not there, mate. Yeah, that'll do. So you can cut that off. So we've got, like I say, the elbow section in. The thumb's in. It is slightly longer, but you know what I mean. When you're doing yours, you have to draw it out in proportion first. But that doesn't matter. And, oh, shape again going. Okay, mate. Because you've put in your pipe cleaner. You've got your elbow in. And if you put wire in here, this would bend anyway. You know what I mean? So that's just different ways of doing hands. I hope that's helpful. Your feet are more or less the same. I could stitch around that and then put the toes in. Easy. You know, more. This is what I'm saying about being able to sew. You can define what you're doing. You can alter things. I can take that out completely, you know. Let's have a look. I don't want that. I'm going to take that out. So just cut that off. And then what I'm going to do, I didn't like that bit. So I'm just going to use this bit. Okay, and I'm going to go in through under the thumb. And go there. Yeah. But it's good that you can see you can alter things. You don't have to keep as is. You know, if you make a mistake, I'm going to actually make these fingers slightly longer. And just pull that tight. Go back through. And make that one slightly longer. And that lines more with the thumb. I'm fine with that. Have you had my stomach going again? There. Perfectly good arm with a long thumb. You get what I mean? That's by adding a thumb in. If not, you could have just done it on your material and just gone round and round. You know, so at the end of the day, it's completely up to you what you do and how you do it. See, I could have had that with a longer thumb. That's just a little hand. That's without fingers. And the feet are done exactly the same. I'm going to come back in a minute. I'm going to show you the boots for the doll that I'm creating. Because we have the dress to do. Where is she? There we are. There she is. I have actually put the skirt on. She is having a jumper. And that's going to hang over the skirt. That's why I've done a broad band. And it's basically, you cut a long strip, so many inches wide, depending on the length of the leg of your doll. This one was cut at, let me just see. The skirt was up to there. And I did 7.5 inches long, but I'm going to turn over the hem, so it's only going to be a 7-inch dress. Skirt, and then a broad band at the top, but she's going to have a jumper on. So, but I'm going to do her boots. Ideal for the, because I do 18-inch dolls, they're ideal size for my dolls. And they were just tree decorations. So what I did, I dismantled the bells, because I didn't belt on all my shoes. I actually managed to separate the feet just by pulling them apart, which I'm going to do. Oh, God. Just trim them off. Now, I did alter some of them. See, that's fine. I can just glue that down. I did alter some. And some I kept as is and just added to them. Because for this size doll, they fit perfect. And I'm going to keep her in these boots because she's having a woolly jumper on as well. Like that. And with the skirt turned up when I do it, she'll have her tights on. Not tights, I'm putting her socks on. And I can alter the boots how I want them. So I'll come back for that. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll speak to you all soon. And I hope these continue to be helpful, these videos. Bye bye for now.